Hey, what's up everyone? John here with WebDev for you, here to help you build awesome websites without code in Webflow. Today we're going to go over interaction number 156, and it's this image animation on hover. So here when I hover over these images, we can see that they scale out, and there's multiple images that scale out at varying speeds, and it just creates this really interesting effect. So this was inspired by this article here on Code Drops by Mary Lou at Code Drops, where she created this effect, and she created many different variations of this effect. But using the techniques that I'll show in this video tutorial, you can create any of these effects essentially in Webflow. Some of these are skew effects, and some of them are just scale, but it's really interesting, these different effects, and I might create a few other variations and go over those as well. But today we're just going to do the simple kind of oval scale out here today for this interaction. So I'll go ahead and jump in. So let me go into the blank site, and I'll go ahead and start. I'll add a section. I'll just name it 156 section. So this project will be clonable for free. So you can use it for your own projects, or if you want to follow along and rebuild the effect following this tutorial, you can do that as well. So we'll add the section, and I'll set the min height to 100 VH, set it to flex center center. So we'll add an image in the center here. So most of the times when I'm creating interactions, I just start with a section. Because I'm not building a full site layout, there's many things that I don't add, like containers and things like that. These are just quick demos and showcases to show how to build the animation. But if you're building a full site structure, you do want to have sections, containers, max widths, and all that good stuff. So yeah, I'll go ahead and continue here. Then I'll add a div block in here, and I'll call this 156 image wrapper. And for this image wrapper, I'm going to set the width to 300 by 500. So depending on how large you want the image to be, you can adjust the width and height here. All right, and then I'm going to set the overflow here to hidden. So when I place images inside of here, they won't go outside the bounds of this image wrapper. All right, and then I'll set the position here to relative, because we're gonna add absolute divs inside of here, and I think that's it. Oh, and for the radius, we're gonna set the radius to 300 pixels, so it creates the pill shape. So for example, if I add a border, we can see it a bit more clearly. If you change if you set the radius to the same size as the width, you get that nice pill shape or that oval shape. So the width is 300. So the radius is 300 pixels, and we get that nice oval shape. Okay, I'll just remove the border because we don't need it. And then I'll go ahead and add another div block in here, and we'll call this 156 image -1. And we'll set the position to absolute and full. Okay, so it fills the entire image wrapper. And then we'll just copy and paste this image 3 times. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 images. I'll go to the second image, I'll duplicate the class, and I'll call this image 2. I'll go to the third image, I'll duplicate the class, and I'll call this image 3. And I'll duplicate this class, and I'll call this image 4. Okay, so then let's go to image 1. Let's set the z index to 0. Let's go to image 2. We'll set the z index to 1. Let's go to image 3. We'll set the z index to 2. And image 4, we'll set the z index to 3. So essentially what we're doing is we're making sure they're stacked in order. So image 1 is the first image, so it's below all the other images. Then image 2 is in front, then image 3 is in front, and image 4. So we're just stacking them in order, so they stack on top of each other. And that's important for this effect, so it turns out correctly. So let me just go ahead and add an image. So I'll go to my Finder, and I have a few images. Let me just find them real quick. And we'll use Yeah, we'll use those same images that I had. So we'll start with this one. Okay, so I've added this image, and I'll go ahead and add it to all 4 of these elements. So we'll start with image 1. We'll go to the background. I'll choose image. We'll select this image, image 2. Yeah, so let's make sure it's set to cover, center, and we don't need it to be tiled. Then I'll go to image 2. We'll add a background, same thing, set it to cover, center, and don't need it to be tiled. And then image 3, choose image, set it to cover, center, don't need it to be tiled. And image 4, same thing. And there we go. So all these images have, all these elements have the same image as a background, and this will allow us to create the effect. So that's the structure. It's fairly straightforward. Just make sure that the image wrapper is set to relative and an overflow of hidden, and image 1 through 4 is set to position absolute and full, and has the same background image. So now we can click on the 156 image wrapper, and we can go to interactions. We can click the plus, and then I'll select mouse hover. And on hover, I'm going to start an animation. I'll click the plus, and I'll call this image hover in. And here what we want to do is select image 1, and we're going to add an action, and I'll say scale, and I'm going to scale it up initially to 1.3. So if we look at this interaction, image 1 is the last image, so it scales in ever so slightly at the end. So we're going to start it a little bit larger, and then we're going to make it smaller. And so now I'll add another scale animation, and we'll set this to, or actually let me go to image 4. So this is all done in a sequence. So we're going to start, image 4 is the topmost image. So we're going to start with image 4 here. Oh, and for this scale, we're going to set it as the initial state. Yeah. So initially image 1 is scaled up very large. So again, it's the last image that scales. So it scales up from larger to smaller at the end. So then let's start with image 4, and we're going to scale image 4 to 0. So it's the top image. So we'll scale it to 0. And then we'll go to 3. Actually, we can just duplicate this one. We'll change the target, and we'll select 3. Duplicate this one, change the target, change it to 2. Duplicate target and change it to 1. Okay, so we're scaling all the images down to 0 except 1. 1 should just scale down to 1. So it ends with 1, and it's the full scale. So it ends with the image just the way it's supposed to be, or at its original size. Okay, so we want to start all of these together. So we'll click, hold, and drag all of them together. So just make sure that they're all correct. Yep. And now the duration is going to be 0.5 seconds for this animation. So each of them should have a duration of 0.5 seconds. And we'll change the easing to ease in out. And then we're just going to delay them. So right now, if I hover, it's, images 4 through 2 hover at the same time. So we'll start at 4, the delay is 0. We'll then go to 3, add a 0.1 delay. Then we'll go to 2, and we'll add a 0.2 delay, and then we'll go to 3, and we'll add a, 4, 3, 0.1, 2, 0.2, and 1 should be 0.3. Okay, so they're in the same sequence, and now if I preview, we have that effect. All right, so we missed, I missed kind of showcasing one thing here. So for the image elements, we also want them to have a border radius of 300. So all the image elements should be 300, should have a border of 300 as well to match the image wrapper. Okay, there we go. Cool, so let me preview that again. Nice, so they all have that oval shape, and we get that effect when we hover in. All right, so that was pretty straightforward. I guess the most, or the thing that requires most thinking is the sequence. So just remember that image 4 is the topmost image, then 3, then 2, then 1. So we're scaling image 4 the fastest, then 3, then 2, and then image 1 scales the last here, and it scales from 1.3 back to 1, and these all go to 0. So that creates that staggered image effect. All right, so now all we have to do is go to on hover out, start an animation, and I'll duplicate this. Go ahead and click on image hover into. I'll just call it image hover out. I'll delete this initial state here, and then we want to reorder these so that they kind of play in reverse. So we'll go to image 1, then 2, then 3, and then 4. And image 1 will remove the delay. So image 1 will have a delay of 0, and then we're going to set it back to 1.3 scale, and then image 2, the delay will be 0.1, and we'll set it back to a scale of 1. Image 3 will be 0.2, and we'll scale it back to 1, and image 4 will be 0.3, and we'll scale it back to 1. So we have 0, 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, and the first image scales back to 1.3, and the rest of them scale back to 1, so it just resets the animation. Hover in and hover out. All right, cool. So that's pretty much it for the interaction. I can go ahead and duplicate this so I have 2, and what I can do for this is on the second one I can just give each image a combo class of 1 through 4. So combo class of 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, and then I can go into image 1 and I can add another image in here. So I can go ahead and add this image, and I can replace it. So choose image, then go to image 2, choose image, then image 3, choose image, and then image 4, choose image. There we go. All right, cool. And then we have those 2 images. Nice. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Yeah, when you apply the interaction, just make sure that it's affecting class and any image. Yeah, any children element with this class, because that allows you to have the interaction applied to multiple images there. And I could even go in here and say class for this, so any image wrapper would have this animation, and I could even delete this here and only need to apply the interaction once to the element, to the image wrapper. Okay, and as an example, what a few other things we can do with this, I can go ahead and delete this one. We can make it larger. So let's say it's for a hero image, and I can make it like 500 by 700. So we'll make it much larger, maybe 800. No, I think 700 is good. And then we'll add the border radius of 500. Actually, let's make it a bit thinner so it looks more like a pill shape. And yeah, kind of depends there, but yeah, you can just change the size and the elements will change. You could even change the radius of these images. You could say 50% to make them perfect circles, and I can give them an exact width and height. So I could say like 400 by 400, so it's a perfect circle. Make sure the image wrapper is set to flex center. And I'm just experimenting here, but just to showcase all the different type of effects that can be created here. %. And say 400 by 400. 400 by 400. Cool. And This one we'll do 400 by 600. Oh yeah, we can just do 400 by 400 for all of them. And let's see, image wrapper they should be in the center. Let's do 400 by 400. There we go. Yeah, so you can do a circle like that. Just make sure when you do a circle, make sure that the width and height are the same for the element, and then set the radius to 50%. Yeah, there we go. Cool. Yeah, circle is a very nice effect. Yeah, so that's it for this interaction. Pretty straightforward. I'll just do a quick review. We added an image wrapper, set it to flex, horizontal, center, center. Then we added a width and height of 300 by 500, and we added a radius of 300 pixels to create the pill shape. Then we added images inside. We set the position to relative here for the image wrapper and an overflow of hidden. We added 4 images inside with a position of absolute and full. And we set the radius to 300. And then we added the same image to all 4. And then in interactions, we added the hover interaction to the image wrapper. And we just sequenced the scale animations first from 4 to 1, and then from 1 to 4 on hover out. And we made sure that the Z index from 1 to 4 started at 0, then 1, then 2, then 3, to make sure they were stacked on top of each other correctly. All right, so that is it for this interaction. Hopefully that was clear. Let me know if you have any questions in the comment section below. And again, this interaction is clonable for free. You can copy it into your own project. You can change when the animation starts. You could even start it on page load and have it zoom in and out. I kind of want to showcase that real quick. I know this video is getting kind of long, but let's say I wanted to animate it on hover. I could just, or when the page finishes loading, I could just add a page trigger, and then let me do that again. So when the page loads, when the page finishes loading, we'll add the image hover in, and then it starts like that. So the user could see that initially when the page starts, and then when they hover, they could have that effect going. So it's kind of cool. So we have that, then the user can kind of mess around with it. All right, so yeah, that's it for the interaction. Thanks for watching, and yeah, you can sign up for Webflow. You get a free account with the description area below. You get to start with 2 free projects, and you can build this interaction with the free account. And if you want to upgrade, you can purchase a site plan or an account plan. And again, the clonable link is in the description area below as well. All right, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video tutorial. Thank you.